going to talk about today is pre-algebra, Unit 1, Lesson 6, adding and subtracting fractions. This is pretty much a review from elementary school, but we're still doing. The homework that goes with this is page 10 to 13 in your packet, and your problem of the week is due Thursday this week because of 7th grade team building day on Friday. But if this is not the 2016 school year, then that will be different. You'll have to check with me in class. All right. We are going to start on page 12 in your note packet. Page 12 in your note packet. We are talking about adding and subtracting fractions. Now, when you are adding and subtracting fractions, they need to have a common denominator. It needs to be the same. So, 5/12 plus 3/12. That's a pretty straightforward problem. If you've got 5/12 and you add 3/12, isn't that 8/12, which can reduce by dividing by 4, and you get 2/3. Here we go. 4/5 minus 1/5 is 3/5. Those are pretty straightforward. 9/10 plus 7/10 is 16/10, which is 1 6/10, which is 1 3/5. 7/8 minus 1/8 is 6/8, which reduces to 3/4. All right. Now, let's take a look at this one. This is where positives and negatives come into play. If I've got negative 7/9 plus 6/9, this is just like an integer problem. It is adding. The signs are different. So when the signs are different, you subtract and take the sign larger. So 7/9 minus 6/9 will be 1/9. But it's going to be negative 1/9 because the 7/9 is bigger. Here's a subtraction problem. When you are subtracting integers, you change it to add the opposite. We make 2 marks. So 9/14 plus 2/14 is 11/14. So those two problems are taking fractions, basic fractions, to a different level. Now, when you are adding or subtracting and there is not a common denominator, the first thing you need to do is figure out what the common denominator is. That's going to be the least common multiple. What does 2 and 5 both divide into? It divides into 10. So look how I do this. I'm changing this to 10. So you say to yourself, what do you multiply 2 by to turn it into 10? You multiply it by 5. And 5 over 5 is 1, so I'm really multiplying this by 1. That'll be 5/10. What do I multiply 5 by to turn it into 10? I need to multiply by 2 over 2, which makes that 6/10, right? 3 times 2, 5 times 2. So 5/10 plus 6/10 is 11/10. That's an improper fraction. I change it to 1 and 1/10. All right, this one. I recognize right away that 4/8 can be reduced. So I'm going to do 2/3 minus, divide these both by 4, I'm going to get 1/2. That just makes things easier. Smaller numbers to deal with, less likely to make a mistake. So our common denominator here, what does 3 and 2 both divide into? It'll be 6. So to make this 3 into 6, I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator by 2. So it'll be 4/6. To make this 3 or 2 into a 6, I multiply by 3. So I get 3/6. So 4/6 minus 3/6 is 1/6. All right, here we go. 2/5 plus negative 9/10. I got to find a common denominator, which is going to be 10. So the second fraction I don't need to touch. This one I need to multiply by 2, so I'll have 4/10. Now, look here. It's an addition problem, but the signs are different. So I subtract and take the sign larger, so it'll be negative 5/10, which is negative 1/2. Here we go. This 4/16 reduces, so I'll have negative 3/4. Why am I writing that? Negative 3/4 minus, I can divide these both by 4, 1/4. That is subtraction. So I change it to add the opposite, negative 3/4 plus negative 1/4 is negative 4/4, because the signs are the same, so I add and keep the sign, which is negative 1.